If only that day had been a nightmare. The room was silent, except for the sound of my heart pounding. I stared at the letter in my hands, the words blurring together. "We regret to inform you." Those few sentences were all it took to shatter the confidence I thought I had. It was my first real rejection, a college program I had put my entire future on. I had worked for months, gave every ounce of myself into that application, only to see it fail in an instant. That rejection felt like the facts, not just on my effort, but on who I was. I sat alone that evening, replaying every possible mistake in my mind, like scenes from a broken film. Was I not smart enough? Not good enough? My thoughts went everywhere, each one worse than the last. Failure didn't feel like a mistake. I had to carry it in everything I did. I avoided telling my friends. I ignored my family's sympathy. Deep down, I wasn't angry at the world. I was angry at myself. Rejection wasn't just a lost opportunity. It felt like a mirror forcing me to see every flaw I'd tried to ignore. And from that day on, I gave up trying. Why set myself up for failure again? If I didn't put myself out there, I couldn't get hurt. At least, that's what I like to believe. I would see chance after chance pass me by, and I would quietly ignore them, telling myself I didn't care, but I did care. Every missed chance left me feeling worthless. Rejection planted a seed of doubt in me, and I let it grow. I let it decide who I was, what I deserved, and for a long time, I believed it. Failure had scarred me. I was so fixated in the negative, in the bad, that failure brought, that I didn't see inside the failure. Deep down, at the bottom, there it was. A lesson waiting to be reached. The aftermath that continued wasn't an explosion, rather a slow, painful unraveling, like a thread pulled too far. I decided to stop trying entirely. It didn't just happen all at once. It happened in the blank moments, in the hesitations that grew stronger over time. I remember another opportunity presented itself, a leadership program that had everything I said I wanted. The application was simple, the deadline weeks away. Yet, I couldn't bring myself to start. Every time I opened my laptop, my mind replayed that constant failure. What if they say no again? What if I'm not enough? I told myself it wasn't worth the effort. You're too busy, I thought. Someone else deserves it more. But as the deadline came and went, I was left with an empty sense of relief, one that quickly turned into regret. I hadn't protected myself from failure. I had turned into the failure. And this pattern repeated itself. The fear of rejection turned into a habit of avoidance. I stopped raising my hand in class, stayed quiet when I had ideas, and made excuses for not chasing the things I cared about. On the outside, it seemed like I was playing it safe, but inside, I was breaking. I watched others take risks, succeed or fail, while I remained stuck, stagnant, and small. It took me years to realize that avoiding failure didn't bring me peace. It left me empty, filled with what-ifs and the bitter taste of wasted potential. I thought I was protecting myself, but in truth, I was building a prison out of my own fear. Avoidance, I realized, didn't stop failure. It was failure in disguise, and it was slowly eating me away, one dead dream at a time. There was a day, a specific day that stood out, not because it was memorable, but because of what I did. It started with a simple decision. I would raise my hand. Looking back at it now, it was such a small act. It almost felt like nothing at all, but at the time, it felt like stepping into a new world, stepping into the unknown. The professor had asked a question I knew the answer to, yet fear froze me in place. My mind struggled to push away that familiar voice. What if you're wrong? What if you embarrass yourself? I felt the weight of every mistake I'd ever made pressing down on me, telling me to stop, that silence was safer. But for reasons I still can't explain, I pushed it to the side. My hand went up, slow and shaky, and when the professor called on me, my voice cracked as I spoke. The words stuttered as I spoke, but without even realizing it, I was speaking, and when I finished, he nodded and said, "Exactly right." It wasn't a crazy moment, no applause, no sudden transformation, but as I sat back, heart still racing, I realized something had changed. It wasn't the fear that left, but its power over me. I had confronted it, and though it was still there, I had proven it wrong. From that day on, I saw failure differently. It didn't stop hurting. Every rejection still stung, every mistake still burned, but it stopped being the end of the world. Each try, whether ended in success or failure, became a step forward. Slowly, I started to trust myself again, to take chances, to take steps forward into the unknown, to bear the possibility of rejection. Failure didn't stop defining me. It was now shaping me. But now, it was no longer a wall I couldn't climb. It became a lesson, a bruise that would fade. Simply put, it was a necessary part of becoming stronger. It happened again, not long ago. A rejection that could have broken me if it happened a few years earlier. I had gave everything into a project, one I believed in with my entire being. It felt like the mix of all the lessons I had learned, all the scars I had carried. But when the response came, came, it wasn't the one I had hoped for. It was another no. For a second, the weight of it threatened to pull me back into that familiar darkness. I felt the pain of disappointment, the pain of worthlessness trying to creep in, but instead of giving in, I paused. I sat with the pain. Instead of ignoring it, I felt every part of it. I let it pass without letting it define me. I asked myself a different question this time. Not what did I do wrong, but what can I learn from this? I looked at rejection not as a lost opportunity, but as an arrow pointing me in a new direction. The feedback wasn't an attack, it was guidance. I saw where I could improve, where I had held back out of fear, where I could be better next time. For the first time, failure didn't feel like an ending, it felt like a beginning. The lesson was clear. Failure wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was a teacher, hard but necessary, training me in ways success never could. Every rejection, every failure was part of the process. Growth isn't a straight line. It's painful and unpredictable, but it's real. The journey to becoming your best self isn't about avoiding failure. It's about holding it, standing tall inside of it, and using it to build something stronger, something better. It was never the enemy. It was the foundation.